Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared Quartermatch, and today we are doing Comics versus Prose number 10. There we go. We're in double digits now. Assassin's Apprentice, of course. And we now have in our hands Assassin's Apprentice 2, number 4, which, for those keeping track, is 10 total issues of the Assassin's Apprentice adaptation of Robin Hobb's first novel in the Farseer trilogy. Once again, written by Robin Hobb and Jody Houser. The script was by Jody Houser, illustrated by Ryan Kelly, with colors by Jordie Bellaire, and letters by Hassan Otsmane-Elbaou, I think. I apologize if I said that wrong. The cover art was by Anna Steinbauer, once again, showing a nice little meeting of friends between Fitz and a new dog, a new puppy. So nothing better than that. This issue takes up right where issue number 3 left off, and the and it takes up right off, like right where the last issue left off in the book as well. In the middle, right in the middle of chapter 12. And so, right off the bat, we get this nice little exchange between Fitz and Shade, where Shade was where we left off, telling him that he's going to be trained in the skill. And the skill is apparently different than the the little magic that Fitz already has with his empathy with animals and being able to kind of talk to them and stuff like that. So that's called the wit, and that's from what I understand now is frowned upon. And the skill is something different that you learn, some other kind of magic. So I was glad that was cleared up in here. And the one thing I noticed about this first page, the dialogue pretty much goes word for word from the comic, from the novel to the comic, and even the text narration in the boxes there also is taken right from the book, and pretty much word for word. The one difference that the comic takes is a little bit of liberty with Fritz's magic down there, and he's kind of talking to the pet ferret there that Shade keeps. And that was interesting because the ferrets, it's not even mentioned in the book in this section. So I found that interesting that the adapters threw that in there. So that was a little bit different. And then there's a whole bunch of dialogue in the book that is then skipped for the next page, but the next page continues on the conversation where Shade is telling him about the person that's going to be training him, which is, what's his name? Regal. Oh, no, not Regal. The guy who favors Regal. Galen. The guy's name is Galen. And Galen, and once again, we get that sepia tone for stuff said in the past. So Shade's relating stuff in the past. He's relating his conversation with his king, and he's relating his interactions with Galen and interaction between Galen and the prince. So that was once again well done. The dialogue continues to take it right from the book. There's a lot of it, and there's a lot of it jam packed into the comic as well. So great job by the letterer there to really fit all that stuff in without cramping the artwork too much. And this dialogue continues right right until the page 3 here, where we have a interesting little. Is it page 3? No, page 4. I'm sorry, page 4. Uh, where we have an interesting little section not put the into the book, into the comic. I think. Let me double check this here. Yes, there was a nice little panel there where you see Shade is putting the hand up to his mouth in a smile, and that is a excellent depiction of the description of what Shade's doing in the book. So I really like how the artist did that. And also, there was something mentioned in the book that's not mentioned in the comic, and that was because Fitz was telling Shade about his interactions with the Fool, and the thing in the book that Shade said was the Fool. He's talking about King Shrewd, and Shade says the Fool is his, referring to King Shrewd, bought and paid for. And I wondered what that meant, because that is not at all hinted in the comic. And so I'm wondering why they left that out and why it wasn't something that should have been pointed out, because that seemed to be a significant line to me from the book. So very curious why that wasn't there. And we go on to we have the bottom of page 4. There's quite a bit of dialogue that's in the comic that's kind of moved around and twisted around, and it's a little bit different than what's in the book. So a couple of things changed around. Once again, there's we go into chapter 13 the book. There's a little section in italics that's kind of the epigraph that's tells you a little bit more about Lady Patience that you don't learn in a comic. And then we get into Fitz's interaction with Lady Patience, and we get very interesting artwork here, because in the book there's a description that says a feather fan, a fencing glove, a bundle of cattails were all vased in well-worn boot, and a small black terrier with puppies slept in the bucket. And there's all this description, and I really thought that the artist did a great job of just jamming all that description in there. I mean, that is fantastic. You really get a great sense of the scene and everything that's going on in there, and I think that is a awesome job by the artist. It's one of those panels that you gotta sit there and stare at for a while just to really soak everything in. So a warning to all those who are going to read these comics: do not flip through them fast and just read the words. Take your time, look at the artwork. The artwork is telling you a lot of story there, and it's pretty important to really soak that in. I mean, yeah, if you read the books, you're going to know a little more, but it's just great. Take it all in. Lots of information there, and I need some glasses here. All right. Um, yes. Yes. Uh, One little interesting change in the comic is Fitz never sits down in the presence of Lady Patience in the comic. In the book, it clearly says he's sitting when she gives him the puppy, and and everything he does after that. So I thought it was really great how of course, you kind of expect him to be using his wit, with the puppy when she gives him the puppy, and he's really taken aback by it, but he's very pleased. Um, there's a nice little passage in the book about them being kind of uncomfortable with each other, and you have her maid or helper smirking, sitting down, and I thought that was excellently portrayed by the artist there. And of course, we always have those nice magic lines that show that Fitz is communicating with the puppy on a level that other people can't. And they did a great job of describing that encounter and showing that encounter in the comic as it is in the book. And you have this covers these next 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of interaction between him and Lady Patience are covered really in only like 4 pages in here, three pages in the book. So they really delved into this section, and I'm feeling that the adapters must have felt it was very important to get all this information across on the comic book page for future issues purposes, for the story purposes. And so once we get past those 4 pages, Fitz runs into the Fool again, and there's a really good section in here. Let's see here. I really like how in the book here there's a paragraph that says, "So I attempted to tell her," and this was like about his training and about his past and stuff like that. What have you been taught? So I attempted to tell her, but I could see it didn't satisfy her. She folded her lips tightly at each mention of Burick's name. She wasn't impressed with any of my martial training. Of shade, I could say nothing. She nodded in grudging approval at my study of languages, writing, and ciphering. And that was pretty much word for word put in the captions here. But I really like how they showed her reaction. They showed, Fitz's his attempted face, his means to try to really communicate everything he learned. And I love all the background artwork that shows what he did in the past. And I thought that was just a near perfect panel for that paragraph. And it was one panel, one paragraph, and it worked very, very well. And I can see why they devoted so many pages to these short sections in the book here. So that was very well done. The next, then we kind of skip ahead here for a little bit, and then Fitz encounters the Fool again, and the Fool's being his cryptic usual self. There was a great piece of art where the puppy is actually just kind of not pleased with the Fool. Right there, yeah. So you get that section of art where the puppy is kind of growling at him and not really happy with him, and that's explained in the book as the puppy gets no sense of person. We find out now that the when Fitz tries to reach out to the Fool with his wit, he doesn't really get him, and he compares him to the Forged, and so that's very interesting little tidbit for future purposes. And that's very done once again very well with the artwork in here. All right, we we move on to, let's see, a next section, and let's see here. We have for some of the captions, for some of the narration, they actually switched it to dialogue from the book, and that was very interesting. A very interesting choice. Um, and then we move on to let's see here. Yes, we have little added flavor that's not in the books. Was this little interaction with the puppy, and the puppy bringing him back his little pan flute there that he threw on the bed, and the puppy saying, "Here I return," and him communicating with the puppy. That's actually not in the book, and I really like that little addition of interaction there. Because I feel like it's good to get to know the puppy a little better. So let's see. We have a nice interaction. Let's see. We move on to him drawing the puppy, and the very important part, which I think is um, why they spend so much time from with the sections of Lady Patience from the book in here, was you get this interaction between Lady Patience and Fitz later on, where Lady Patience really kind of breaks down a little bit and finally like gives him a hug and says he should have been hers. It's because he reminds her so much of her late husband, and so it was really well done. And I love the emotion that the artist shows. With you can see her tenseness there, her upsetness, and her just all the range of emotions that she's displaying right there and tearing up and stuff. It's really, really, really well done. I like how they do it. We move on to a conversation with Björk, and this takes us into chapter 14. We have in the book we have once again a little epigraph that's a little information about Galen, um, and then we in that chapter there's a little throwback to the previous encounter with Lady Patience. It's one line that they borrowed to put into the comic to end that page in the comic that um, wouldn't have worked, which I thought worked very well to end that page. That in the book, it's easier to go back and explain things that happened in the last chapter as a little explanation, because of course the book is first person, and he can ponder on stuff as a first person narrator, whereas the comic is a bit more it has to pick and choose where that first person narration can go, because it has to pick and choose where those captions can go. And so I thought they did a great job of taking that out and putting it into the previous chapter, so to speak. And then they were able to skip a lot of exposition to get to the next scene in the comic, where he's talking to Björk, probably for the last time. I suspect. I don't really know because I haven't read ahead. But it seems that way right now. Björk gives him this lovely little tale about, well, I'm sorry, it's not a lovely little tale. It's actually a kind of a horrifying tale, because he gives him the tale that Galen is not a very nice guy, and Galen hates Fitz. And so he mentions that there's a little tale that he tells about a girl that Galen found who had a similar relationship to birds that Fitz does with dogs and horses and other animals, and that you know eventually Galen ends up murdering the girl, but he gets away with it because of some kind of weird rule about dueling or something. I don't know. Somebody accused him and stuff like that. Anyways, the whole tale is told in that sepia tone from Burick's mouth to him, and so that you can see visibly upsets Fitz. He's very concerned now. He does not really want to be taught by a murderer, but he doesn't feel he has a choice, so he says, I'll try. Um, and that is where we bring it to the end, or we end at the middle, I should say, of chapter. What was I say? 14. Yeah, 14. And right on page 239. And so we still got quite a bit to go in this book. That ends, though, issue number 4 of Assassin's Apprentice 2, comic book adaptation. So I dropped my. Gotta have bookmarks. All right. And so that ends this episode of Comics versus Prose. Only 2 more issues to go in Assassin's Apprentice 2. More than likely, I think I already read that there's going to be an Assassin's Apprentice 3 at some point. But let's just look forward to next month. For now, be good to each other. And thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you deem it this worthy.